Greetings, friends, this is FNGR, and some of you guys might be wondering, where the hell have you been? Well, I don't mean to pass the buck, but one of my new favorite artists poofed into the ether. No explanation. Now, I didn't pay for anything, and she doesn't owe me anything. I wish agannaga all the best in her future endeavors. But yeah, that's the person who did an amazing picture last time. Naga, whatever issue it is, if you need any help, don't be afraid to ask for it. I deeply owe you for this amazing piece, and I respect your right to step away. I had this wonderful idea of having a picture of Brawny Buck, Tricky Fox, Finn the Pony, and Golden Fox on a Mount Rushmore-like image. All 4 of these finalists are well deserving of being number 1. Sadly, cutting the hyperbole, there is only ever one number 1. So let's take this in turn. Let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the elite. Also, good news, you only have to pick one person this time. In fact, only pick one person. The voting will close February 6th at 6 p.m. Central Time.
This introduces us to one of the most interesting and unexpected questions this show has ever asked. What happens when you help too much? This is a type of moral that really speaks to me personally. People who know me well will agree that my pony persona is very similar to my real life persona. I am a helpaholic. I'd love to help others. It gives me this warm, special feeling that nothing else could possibly match. And it is true that lending others a helping hand is a very kind and thoughtful thing to do. But if done to excess, things start becoming really dangerous for both the helper and the helpee. The helper starts becoming less of a friendly aid and more of a mandatory crutch, to the point where the helpee becomes completely dependent on the assistance of that friend and relies on them too heavily.
Finn the Pony's consistency enthusiasm is something that can't be stressed enough in this community. His moral character has never been called into question, believe me, I know, and that's by even the harshest critics in the community. When I happen to be one of those, and that criticism that I could only ever levy is, I legitimately know you're capable of more. The downside, Finn's thoughts sometimes can feel a little too basic. But in all fairness, I think we're all guilty of that at one point or another. My first impression is when I saw Finn, I thought he was an insufferable goody-goody. And yeah, he is that. But that's not a bad thing. And as I said before, believe me, I've looked. I'm fairly sure it's not.
Twilight and Rainbow is absolutely perfect. They're such opposite personalities, with one being organized and professional, while the other is loud and energetic, and they play off each other so well. Just the classroom scene alone was enough to get me smiling from ear to ear. And thankfully, it's another episode where both characters are needed to solve the problem at hand. Sure, Twilight had the right idea when it came to upfront telling both friends what the issue was, but if not for both Twilight's classroom expertise and Rainbow's immense flying skills, we would have never arrived at our happy ending.
For my money on pure analysis, and my personal pick for whatever that's worth, while so many members of the committee have gone off and become laugh tracks, Tricky's offered depth and critique that's never felt intrusive, nor did I feel I was being handled a lump of candy-coated fluff. Tricky has been a wonderful mix of honesty and well-thought opinions that if you cheated yourself not partaking in those, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. But don't take my word for it. My number 1 artist has collabed with the guy, 3 times?
See her drinking the potion when she is in need of a power boost to use her magic. But in her introduction scene, she wanted a sip even though there was no reason for her to drink some, which does imply that she simply likes the power high that is granted by this potion. We had something similar in G4 as well. Magic Dew and Inspirational Manifestation come to mind. Both the Ellicott Amulet and the Magic Tome had an addicting effect on Trixie and Rarity respectively, though it was also rather clear that both were directly affected by the magic of those items that twisted with their minds, while the addicting effect of the Witchweed Potion seemingly doesn't stem from the fact that it directly affects the mind of the user, but that the power boost simply feels good.
I haven't gotten a single one out of Grey Silvermane, but that's more than fine. And I can safely say that Tricky's body of work stands the test of time for quality and quantity. I've never felt my intelligence insulted once while watching a Tricky sketch. And while some people felt that trying to understand what might be considered a thick accent, I think you've done yourself a massive disservice for not including this man, who's not only insightful, well-behaved, and someone I'd call a near and dear friend.
Faggot TD.
Hey, what's good?
That's good indeed. Okay, no one's perfect.
Did try something similar when he was bargaining to get Twilight's Ellicott magic. The main difference is that G1 had the guts to step over that line. Where Catrina was able to outright state that she is going to kill Moondancer, G4 Tyrek only offers to release them if Twilight does what he says, and never threatens to harm them. The implication is still somewhat there, but due to this choice of words, he seems a bit tamer than Catrina in the scene.
Be an empty husk that crumbled under any form of pressure. There is often an inverse proportion of ego to actual skill. The reason for this is that those with actual skill have put in all of the necessary effort in order to improve themselves. They've been defeated by others, as well as themselves, numerous times during their lengthy learning process. They realize that anything short of perfection is inadequate.
If you've noticed the theme of consistency and reliability in these picks, it should be no shock that Brawny continues his winning ways. Literally everyone that I've gotten to look at Buck to the face, even the people who disagree with Brawny quite adamantly, certainly understand that he's talented. He's on the short list of Bronies who can carry a tune. He is a very hard worker. Until life intruded, he did the bulk of his own work. Concerns? While never lacking humor or insight, what eludes Brawny is the ability to juggle both at the same time. I can say Brawny is profoundly funny, but I'd be hard-pressed to watch one of his analyst pieces and point to it and quote it as influential and say, this one stands above the rest. I'll keep an eye out, and good luck.
If Sky Stinger had failed, he would have lost everything anyway. Then she would have no way of knowing what to do next because she based all of her goals on his ruined ego. If it had not been for Rainbow Dash, she would have never realized what it was that she wanted for herself. Everyone needs to understand that having an accurate gauge of one's own abilities is absolutely vital. Ego needs to be discarded, and weaknesses need to be addressed as plainly as possible, as soon as possible, so that they can be worked around or overcome.
Last but certainly not least, the man who went heads up with mangaka and toon critic, and the darling of the Brawny community, Keyframe, came out ahead each and every last time.
Jack refuses help everywhere and exerts herself too much. And much like Applejack, I too was a stubborn dick whenever I refused help. And sadly, I still do. Whether it's taking care of dishes, mowing the lawn, or even at work when others assisted me when I wasn't happy about it. And the fact that refusing help can lead you to such exhaustion is a very important lesson for kids to take. Oftentimes, Applejack's traits involve a pride issue, and that's something I've carried for a while.
Now, while Goldie's release schedule has more in common with Anthony C., I would argue so does the quality of the content. Now, while I don't necessarily agree with everything Goldie has ever said, despite being at this the longest of these four, Golden's expressed an interest in learning and growing, an artist, an animator, an analyst, someone with an immense amount of patience, not just for mine, but the overall bullshit of the community. Just by the overall experiences and trials in the fandom, we can safely say Goldie is a paragon of patience, good cheer, and willingness, even when things take longer to continue, to stand with the community, even when it doesn't always stand with him. Thank you, sir. While I might have had my heart set on seeing a smaller channel prevail, you'd be more than a worthy ambassador among your peers, as the voice of the analysis and review community. Brilliant and flawed, I'm proud to call you a Brawny, and if I'm feeling super bold, a friend.
Epic two-parters with the exception of one that was heavily rushed. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved them all. But looking back at this episode being slice of life for a finale, it feels like a breath of fresh air in contrast. So simple, funny, and satirical to an extent, the best night ever may not be for everyone, but I love this episode.
Godspeed and good luck to you all.